Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? Pardon me, it's the Babylon 5 podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How has everybody been? How has your week been? I appreciate you guys for being here another week with your boy, Jermaine Event. This is episode 164, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfortunately not 163 because then the name of the episode would kind of roll off the tongue, if you will. Speaking of roll off the tongue, this episode is called Grits Don't Work on Me, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk about that title in just a moment here. We're going to talk about episode 5, season 4 of Atlanta. The title's called Work Ethic. We're going to talk about that episode. And we are going to talk about UFC Vegas 62. I don't have in my notes here anything about Alistair Overeem defeating Bader Hari in a kickboxing competition for glory. I don't have any notes here. I did not see the fight. Actually, so where were they fighting? Were they fighting in the Netherlands? I feel like they were potentially kickboxing. They're not fighting. They're having a kickboxing competition, I believe, in the Netherlands, which is where kickboxing is very popular. Out in Holland. You see, where can I go find a kickboxing competition like here in fucking Milwaukee or even America for that matter? You know, it's probably lower level. Definitely not gonna be able to see something like Alistair Overeem versus Bader Hari in a kickboxing competition here in America. I don't see that happening, but I did not see the fight, but congratulations to Alistair Overeem for defeating Bader Hari. I don't know. So, you know how like UFC has USADA for their drug testing. Apparently, Glory does not have the strict drug testing policies that we've grown to love here as UFC fans. And, you know, Alistair Overeem has gone back to Alistair Ubereem, if you will. I don't know. I just didn't really have too much. I mean, when I got home and my phone went off, like, it said Alistair defeats Bader Hari. I was like, oh, I missed it. All right, whatever. Because with the shadiness of how, if he's fucking juicing again, which it looks like he is from what I was seeing, if he's juicing again, then I don't know. I feel like everybody's on fucking steroids. Like, it's almost like, it's like with baseball, man. If you're not doing steroids, you're almost doing yourself a disservice. Like, do you want to be fucking Albert Pujols, who's been playing baseball professionally since I was in elementary, middle school or some shit? He's been playing for 20 years. I think over 20 years. I think his goal is 22 years. Are you kidding me right now? What, he just hit like home run 700? I think you're doing yourself a disservice to not do steroids in pro sports at that high level. You're doing yourself a disservice, and I think you're proving yourself delusional. If you think a motherfucker like Albert Pujols, motherfuckers were like, oh yeah, he's special. He's been playing in the fucking MLB for over 20 years, but he's just special. No, the motherfucker's on steroids. HGH, whatever the fuck, is keeping that dude at such a high level, knocking him out of the fucking park. Like 20 plus years in the game. You're doing yourself a disservice. But as I'm saying is, at least with the UFC, they have the USADA and they try to say, hey, we're testing these guys the best we can and trying to make sure that fucking 27-year-old Armin jacked ass Sarukian is just all natural. What fucking... There's no normal people walking around that look like these motherfuckers. And you might say, well, yeah, they don't fucking... Dude, there's people, if you go to these MMA gyms, like, by that regard, if that shit's natural, like, every fucking coach that's there every day training this shit would be jacked to the fucking gills. Except they look like regular people. You probably wouldn't even know that they are the instructor, let alone train, if you didn't sign up for the class. You wouldn't know that they fucking train if you didn't sign up for the class. So if training every day gets you to look like that, then how come every fucking instructor doesn't look like that? Why does every fucking jiu-jitsu practitioner not look like racist ass Gordon Ryan? Alright? Why does everybody not look like Gordon Ryan? Because that motherfucker's on steroids. Alright? They're all on steroids. You're doing yourself a disservice. But congratulations to Alistair Overeem on defeating Bader Hari in his return to kickboxing. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this account or email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. And if you guys would like to hit that like button, give it 5 stars wherever you're listening, wherever you guys are enjoying this podcast. Let everybody know that you love this podcast. I'd appreciate it so much. Go ahead and share it right now. Share it so all your friends know. I fucking love this podcast. I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys believe me, if you believe that one day I will stream. I know I said like last week, I was like, you know what, I could stream. Maybe. And then I did play 2K. I just didn't stream it. But one of these days I will. I will stream some 2K. If you guys would believe that, head on over to twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can cop some merchandise at teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod and you can be my patrons today, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking right now. We are going to talk about Atlanta, season 4, episode 5. This bad boy was called Work Ethic, and I think personally, I think it's one of the best episodes of the series. I think it's one of the funniest episodes of the series. Like right away, you got. I'm saying, in my head, I'm like Zazie, Van. I'm forgetting the character's name. Lady that plays her is Zazie Beetz. Yeah, so I'm watching this video, and you got Van and Lottie are going to this fucking studio, like a film studio. And like they're showing these billboards of like the movies that they make there. And right away in my head, I'm like, ooh, they're getting at Tyler Perry. And then they say like, oh, this is Mr. Chocolate's studio. Mr. Chocolate stays in that fucking tower over there. And like nobody ever sees him. And I was like, ooh, they're definitely talking about Tyler Perry, because Tyler Perry has the big movie studio. And he's a big film studio in Atlanta. So everything just on the surface, I was like, they're getting at Tyler Perry. And then as they go into the episode, Van is talking to like makeup artists and all these helpers and shit, and they're talking about the different movies and what they're like, where it's like a scorned woman fucking gets cheated on by her man, but she uses her faith in Jesus and blah blah blah, like just stereotypical Tyler Perry movie. Stereo, dude. Even when like Donald Glover is like plays the fucking, if you guys are watching on Instagram or YouTube, if I can post this video. Last week it wouldn't let me post the video. It just did a still shot, so I just took it down. But you can see the guy here, the image of the guy that Donald Glover is. And like when Van ultimately meets this guy, he like is playing the piano and he turns around, he's like, hello. And it's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's 1000% Tyler Perry. A dig at Tyler Perry this whole time. And Van is just doing this role in one of the films just because she said her friend put her on, and she was just doing it just to try to make some extra money. And while they're there, Lottie's there, and Lottie's like talking, and Mr. Chocolate sees, like, because he's not there, but he's watching through his cameras and always speaking, telling people to do things through the intercom. And when Lottie is speaking out, he loves Lottie, and he has Lottie jump into the set of what Van's doing when they're filming. And then before she knows it, she looks back and Lottie's gone. And they're like, oh, Mr. Chocolate loves her. He's got her in 14 more scenes, and like they're on this stage. So like now Van is running around like, what the hell? You can't just like take my daughter. But she gets to the other stage that Lottie's on. She's like filming some other shit. And like she's filming some other shit. And yeah, and then she's like, once that scene's cut, like somebody walks past Lottie in between where Van and Lottie is, and when the person walks by, Lottie's gone again. It's like, oh shit, she's on another stage. Right? They're shooting her around to film these fucking movies and TV shows. Just super ignorant ass fucking Tyler Perry. You got the one woman who plays Lottie's mom in this random shit they're filming, and like Lottie's like saying to the woman like in the film, she's like, but where were you? Why didn't you protect me? Like, you were supposed to be my mom. And then it cuts to the lady like biting into a sandwich. Like, damn, this crack sandwich is good as hell. Because that's the kind of ridiculous shit you get from these fucking Tyler Perry ass movies. It's gonna be a dark skin fucking it's gonna be a woman, right, who's trying to do good, and she's currently in a relationship with a dark skinned nigga who's just mean to her, just either physically abusive, just verbally abusive, but he's just dark skinned and mean. And then once she finally gets out of the relationship with this mean dark skinned motherfucker, she fucking meets a lighter skinned black person who's very nice to her and her children. And she finally learns what love is with this fucking Shamar Moore looking ass nigga over here. That's the story. Well, it usually is Shamar Moore. That's the story. That's typical fucking Tyler Perry shit. So this is just completely ridiculous. So she storms off after like this whole tizzy of not being able to really get her daughter. She's like, yo, I don't want my daughter doing this shit. But they're like, oh, Mr. Chocolate loves your daughter. Like, and they're just whisking her off. So she runs to the building, and it's just like, yo, let me in. Like Mr. Chocolate has my daughter. I need to get in. 2 armed guards are standing there like, nah, you don't have clearance. We can't let you in here. Then the makeup lady that was helping Van, talking to Van earlier, runs up like, what's going on? She's like, Mr. Chocolate has my daughter. I need to get in to see him. And the makeup lady is like, yo, let her in. And they're like, nah, she doesn't have clearance. We can't let her in. So she's like, all right. The black lady turns around, pulls out a fucking handgun, shoots this nigga in the foot, shoots one of the guards in the foot and points a gun at the other guy. And he's sitting there because they have like assault rifles. And he says, yo, these are prop guns from a set of a movie that they did. Like, they're not real guns. And then Van just, like, goes into the building. She goes into the room with Mr. Chocolate. He's sitting there fucking playing the piano. Turns around and is like, hello. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he kind of resembles Tyler Perry, just this bald black dude. But he's just, like, out of touch with black people. Like, it's highlighted by how he walks over to the stove and he asks her if she wants a grit. Like, he's making grits and he asks her if she wants a grit. Like, just highlighting how he's, like, not really attached to black culture at all. But here he is making all these fucking movies that are supposed to be about black culture. Before I get into this, I want to back up. There was one deep-ass moment, to me personally, as a black person. There's a moment where Van is riding with a couple interns. She's trying to find out where her daughter is, because she's like, I don't want my daughter, like, a part of any of this stuff. Like, this is dumb. And then the two interns are like, I don't know, like, Mr. Chocolate's won, like 22 BET awards. He's won a bunch of, like, NAACP awards. He's won, and she's like, all the black awards. And they look at her like, are you saying only the white awards matter? And it's like, fuck, man. Like, there's, like, when I was younger, man, I would, like, definitely watch the MTV Awards. I was, like, hype about watching MTV Awards when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in, like, maybe over 10 years now. But I was hyped back in the day to watch it, and I would be, like, so about the BET Awards. My point is like, that's just, like, that scene there, when they're explaining to her, like, yo, he's won all these awards, but she dismissed it because it's not the white awards. White people have not given the awards, and it's like, man, that's fucking honestly ingrained in black people, that we need this acceptance of fucking white people here. Like, she just fucking dismissed all the awards that black people have given him because we've been fucking brainwashed to think that whatever, they said the Grammys are important. They told us that. Who? The fucking white people told us that. We are the people who put value into all that shit. If we as black people actually only paid attention to the black award shows, it would seem much more important, at least to us. I thought that was it was pretty eye-opening to me. But, so in this scene, he says, like, yo, would you like a grit? And then they get into this whole, talk about, she wants her daughter, that's the basis. She wants her daughter back, and he's like, no, she's great. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna give you your daughter back. Like, she's mine now. And fucking Van grabs the pot of grits, or maybe the bowl, and just throws the grits on Mr. Chocolate. Right, throws hot grits on this nigga, and he like grabs at his neck where he got hit with the grits, and he's just like, grits don't work on me. Like, the funniest shit ever. This nigga just said, grits don't work on me. I fucking lost it. All right. With this grits don't work on me line. That was fucking fire. But, so they finally bring Lottie in, and she's like, all right, like, Van's like, all right, we're going to get out of here because she doesn't want to be here. And Lottie's like, no, like, I want to stay here. Like, she loves this whole acting shit, being in these roles. Like, everybody's super nice to her about it, like, and she wants to be there. And she's just like, Van's just like, nah, we have to go. And she goes to drag Lottie out of there, and Lottie's screaming like, no. And, like, Mr. Chocolate is like, she's not going to be not 18 forever. And he's like, and when I'm done with her, he's like, she's going to be scorned woman number 8 when I'm done with her. Like, like they're shitting all over Tyler Perry. Like, that's all his shit is. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I've not seen quite a few Tyler Perry movies. All right, I've seen a lot of Tyler Perry movies, and I won't lie and say I wasn't entertained by like 80% of them. Okay. Like 80%. But every time he comes out with another fucking Madea Goes to the Moon, Madea and Ernest team up and whoop a nigga's ass. Every time he comes out with these movies, I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, he must be fucking stopped. But then I'll go see it, unfortunately. I'll see it and I'll be like, yeah, it ain't too bad. It ain't too bad, but it was pretty hilarious. This episode was dope. They shit all over Tyler Perry. I think this was one of the funnier episodes of the whole series, man. I love Atlanta. As I said, I feel personally like it's the best show on television. And it's unfortunate that this is the last season, man. As I said, this shit is absolutely crazy. It's just great. So shout out to you guys. I was just watching a video, honestly, I saw it yesterday. It was Jamie Foxx was just throwing all this praise to Donald Glover for This Is America. It's just a wholesome ass moment. He said they wanted him to like make jokes about it, but he was like, nah, that song should not be joked about. So, you know, as a kid, I always I idolized Jamie Foxx. He had the fucking TV shows. He was dope with TV shows. Fucking can sing his ass off. Does great stand-up comedy. Does the great fucking like serious roles. Like, I was like, what can't this nigga do? Like, he was like my idol. And then as I've gotten older and I feel like I relate more to Donald, I was loving that video. If you guys have not seen it, if you've skipped the Black Awards, look up the clip of Jamie Foxx praising Donald Glover at the BET Awards. I had not seen it, unfortunately, until yesterday. It happened like 2018. And it's 4 years ago, and I just saw it. I thought it was pretty dope. You know, I should check it out if you get the chance, ladies and gentlemen. We got some fights coming back next weekend. This weekend, we did not get any fights. Unless you count the video that got released between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole. I didn't know. I didn't plan on speaking on this. I actually told myself I wasn't. But just to speak on it briefly, I didn't know that Jordan Poole was from Milwaukee. I didn't know that at all. I didn't know that not only is he from Milwaukee, he's like 10 years younger than me, right? He's from Milwaukee and we went to the same high school. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't know Jordan Poole went to Rufus King. Like, that's fucking dope. Like, and I was watching Shannon Sharp, like, I don't know where. Shannon Sharp's from Chicago, all right? You from right down the street, my nigga. But Shannon Sharp was like, I don't know where Poole's from, but he clearly don't know anything about fighting. Like, he's like just shitting on where Poole is from. And I was watching it at first like, yup, I don't know where this nigga from. He ain't. It's like, god damn it. It's from the same hallways that I fucking walked through, all right? Sat in the same classrooms as me, walked down these fucking streets that I walked down. I was like, holy fuck. Draymond knocked that nigga out. That was a great punch by Draymond Green. People were saying it was kind of a sucker punch. I say, I'm not sure. I did see Isaiah Thomas, and he's saying like, yo, like, yeah, maybe he should have had his hands up. But if you're at a fucking basketball practice in the NBA, you're definitely not expecting one of your teammates to fucking haul off and just knock you the fuck out. You're not expecting that to happen. But I don't know, man. Draymond got in his face, was pushing him like with his body, and then Poole pushes him off. And then Draymond proceeded to hit that nigga with a thunder punch. Cleared that nigga's shit. Folded that nigga up. God damn, I feel bad for Poole knowing he's from right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But god damn, Draymond Green knocked that nigga out. You had Jake Paul. Jake Paul offered that nigga, I'm pretty sure it was a joke, but Jake Paul offered that nigga $10 million. He was like, $10 million, you can fight on my next card, like whoever the fuck you want to fight. Like, dog, Draymond folded this nigga up. I don't see how them niggas play again. Before the footage was leaked, the Warriors were saying they were not gonna punish Draymond. And then they leaked the fucking footage. And now Draymond says he's going to step away from the team for a little while. I don't know how this ends. I've seen rumors where people are surmising that it was the Warriors who actually leaked the video because this is Draymond's contract year. This nigga's been talking about he wants a max contract. That nigga, I say the only team that could be fucking fooled into giving Draymond Green a max contract would be the Warriors because of just what he's been for that franchise. But his numbers, his stats don't call for a max contract. So it would make a lot more sense to me that the fucking Warriors chose to leak that footage of him knocking Jordan Poole out. Because I would much rather at this point you get more production from Milwaukee's own Jordan Poole than you do from a Draymond Green for far less money. I don't think Poole's demanding a max contract right now. You could keep Poole for far less money than it would cost to keep Draymond, and you get more production out of Poole, like out of the 10-year younger. He's like Draymond's my age. You know what I'm saying? Like he might be older than me actually, but my point is, it would make more sense that the Golden State Warriors leaked that footage so that they would not have to pay. So it would make more sense for them if they then go on and choose not to extend Draymond or even to trade his ass. You know what I'm saying? They could ultimately just trade Draymond Green. But we finally get some fights back, and we've got in the main event this Saturday, we've got Alexa Grasso taking on Viviane Araújo. All right, I think this is a striker's delight right here. I think honestly it could go either way, but I feel like Grasso has the cleaner boxing. I think she has the cleaner boxing. She's better with her combinations. I think ultimately Grasso gets it done here. All right, I think she's gonna have the sharper boxing here. She's been looking better and better in the last few fights we've seen her in. We've seen her. Her grappling has improved. Her boxing has always been there, but she looked to really improve in her last fight. You got Araújo, who's number 6 right now, coming in here to fight Grasso, I believe, who's number 5. I think it could go either way. I would not be surprised if Araújo gets the victory here. I'm not surprised. I think they're 5 and 6. They're right there next to each other in the rankings for a reason. I think it could go either way. But I'm personally going to stick with Grasso here. She's got all the momentum behind her right now, if that means anything at all. Like, if anything, the momentum could be detrimental to you. Could make you slack off on your training, not doing the things necessarily that you need to improve. Or it could give you more focus. But I'm going to stick with Grasso here. to get a victory in the main event. I'm not sure via which way it gets done. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Maybe Arujao breaks her leg in the first 3 seconds. Just takes a wrong step, ankle breaks, and that's the end of the fight. Maybe that happens. Hopefully not. But it definitely can happen in the world. Then, and we also, I don't know if this is the co-main. I don't believe. Now I gotta look at it. Just because I fucking said that out loud. No, but I can't let that go. Let's see. No, it is not the co-main. The co-main is Jonathan Martinez versus Cub Swanson. I guess, yeah, Swanson has the bigger name. So that's an interesting fight, regardless. Cub Swanson versus Jonathan Martinez. But the fight right before that, you have Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval in what could be, I would imagine, the number one contender fight, right? Logically, this is the number one contender fight. Unless Figueiredo and Moreno go to another draw and we need to have a fifth fight between the guys. You know what I'm saying? Unless we need a fifth fight. We're having the fourth fight, so I don't think it's ridiculous to surmise that maybe we have to get a fifth fight between these guys. Like, they seem pretty evenly matched. But without that, Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval seems like the number one contender here. And I feel like with the height advantage of Royval, the reach advantage, with Askarov having that disadvantage, along with his general fighting style of the grappling, he's wrestle heavy. We've seen in his last few fights, he'll definitely stand up and strike. He's improved in the striking, but his game is more so rooted in the getting you down, wearing you out, tiring you out with the grappling, you know, that Russian wrestling style. And with the disadvantages there, he's going to want to close the distance, get in there and try to wrestle, make it more of a grappling competition than a fucking kickboxing competition. You know, he's going to want to make it more grapple heavy, spam those takedowns. And with that, I believe that Askar Askarov will be able to get the victory here. I think, you know, with Royval, I like Royval, but, you know, if it's not his night, it could be a quick night for Brandon Royval. Be a quick victory for Askar Askarov. You never really know what you're going to get. I mean, Royval is definitely game. This is a great fight here. That's why I when I said it's the co-main event, I kind of assumed, because how is it not the co-main event? But it's not. It's just a great fight on the card. But I'm going Askar Askarov to get the victory and then to become the number one contender. He lost to Kai Kara-France, but that was a pretty close fight. I thought that fight could have easily gone to Askar Askarov. I felt like Kai was kind of surviving in that fight more than dominating. I felt like it could have easily gone to Askar Askarov. But as I was saying, some other interesting fights. Definitely then the co-main event, Jonathan Martinez versus Cub Swanson. We got Dusko Todorovic versus Jordan Wright is a hype fight there. Misha Serkinov versus Alonzo Menafield. That's an interesting fight. I know, like, like, people hate on cards, and I can't. You say no to Ratchet Pussy Juicy J can't. All right, I just can't. Because I love fights. I don't need big names on the card to be like, ooh, that's going to be a good fight. Got Nick Maximov versus Jacob Malkoun. I'm hype as fuck for that fight. You got Nick Diaz's prospect, Nick and Nate Diaz's prospect, Nick Maximov, taking on Robert Whittaker's teammate, Jacob Malkoun. This is an interesting fight here. Like, that's all I need right there. That's big as fuck for me, like, as a fucking fight fan. Like, that's a big fight right there. You got Rafael Assunção taking on this guy Victor Henry. I'm not too familiar with Victor Henry, but Rafael Assunção. I thought he retired. I guess he's fighting today. We got Pierre Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. That's going to be a pretty good fight right there. The undefeated Pierre Rodriguez, who recently put Kay Hansen out of the UFC to the pleasure of many motherfuckers on MMA Twitter. You motherfuckers be hating. Thirsting after Casey O'Neill and just hating on Kay Hansen for whatever the fuck she does. She breathes and y'all are like, I fucking hate Kay Hansen. Like, whatever. Pierre Rodriguez recently beat Kay Hansen, and she's undefeated. She's going to be taking on Sam Hughes here. I think this could be a pretty tough fight for both ladies. Sam Hughes is pretty tough. Pierre is undefeated here. I was watching her Contender Series fight. And she's pretty tough. She goes for the takedown. She's pretty powerful. Pretty good counter striker. I think I'm gonna roll with Pierre Rodriguez in that one. So there's some fights. In the first fight, you guys, it's Mike Jackson versus Pete Rodriguez. If you guys don't know who Mike Jackson is, he was the last fight for CM Punk in the UFC. The guy who was like, he had him on the ground and he was just like looking up to, I think he was talking to Dana and just like throwing these fucking dumbass punches, just trying his best to embarrass CM Punk. I turned off that card. I think it was like Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Rodriguez and shit like that. There was like some pretty good fights that I like did not see live because I was so disgusted with that fight. I was like, dude, fuck this. I was like disgusted with the company in general until I saw Dana White pretty much express how much he was disgusted in that performance. And I was like, okay. Like, he wasn't okay with, like, I was disgusted with what I saw in that fight between Mike Rodriguez and CM Punk. And according to Topology, it looks like Mike is going to get fucking dominated by this Pete Rodriguez guy. I mean, Mike Jackson's record is 1-1. And then the fight with CM Punk was originally a victory, and then it was turned into a no contest because he tested positive for marijuana. Mike Jackson did. Pete Rodriguez is 4-1. Coming off of a loss to Jack Della Maddalena. Got knocked out in the very first round at UFC 270. That was his first fight in the UFC. This is going to be his second fight. I believe he's going to beat Mike Jackson here. I hope he beats Mike Jackson. Because I've been hating on Mike Jackson since that CM Punk fight. As you guys know, I was a wrestling fan when I was younger. I honestly had never seen CM Punk wrestle back in the day. I mean, I don't watch wrestling now, so I will say I've never seen CM Punk wrestle. But I knew who he was because when I was a fan, I was like aware of, like, I would read like the rumors of who's gonna get signed over here. It's like before there was like a AEW. It was like either you got signed to WWE or you like went to Ring of Honor, and then I would hear like the shit in Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling and all that shit. So like I had heard of CM Punk, but I had never watched him. And then when I stopped watching wrestling and I just started like pretty much only watching like MMA, football, basketball, the fucking CM Punk dude that I had heard about back in the day like signed $1 million contract to fight for the UFC. $1 million contract. No professional fights, no amateur fights. $1 million contract. And other guys, your record, what is your record? 20-0? All right, you'll come fight here. $8,000 if you show, $8,000 to show up, and you get another $8,000 if you win. What about that guy? He just signed $1 million contract. Don't worry about that guy with no fights at all. No amateur, no pro. Nigga probably don't even spar with anybody. Hasn't sparred at this point. Like, don't worry about that guy. We're giving him $1 million. And you're lucky if you get fucking 8,000. You're lucky to get that 8,000, and don't fucking bring it up again. That's how the UFC crumbles. If you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You guys can hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, or give it 5 stars wherever it works. You know what I'm saying? Flick a nipple, whatever goes on, wherever you're fucking listening to this, do it. Let them know you love it. Let them know you like it a lot. Let them know you would like them to do it again. If you guys are trusting what I'm saying when I tell you that I will stream one day, follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. And if you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod, and you can be my patron today. Thank you guys so much for being here for episode 164. Grits don't work on me. It's been a fantastic week. It's been a pretty good week for me. I know I don't really get into too much details like that too often, but it's been a pretty good week today. This past week, and feels like this next week could be pretty amazing. It could be making some pretty cool changes here next upcoming weeks, depending on how this next week goes. A lot of changes for the positive. Halloween's coming up. I got 2 costumes because that's the kind of nigga I am. Last year I went to Denver. I had 4 costumes. I unfortunately only wore 1. We went out the one, or I don't even know if I wore any, because we went out the one day, and then the next day we were supposed to meet out with my friends, and then my wife, like right before we were about to leave, she was like, yo, I don't want to be out too late. And it was like 11:30 at that point when we were about to leave. And at that point, like right then, she was like, hey, I'm not trying to be out late, so like let's just try not to be out too late. I was like, it's already 11:30, like you saying like we would go out for like an hour and come back home at this point? And she was like, yeah, I'd be fine with that if you are. So I was like, well, that's fucking dumb. So so we just did not go out, and I could have just either stayed in Milwaukee or not packed any costumes, or just not gone at all. Like, I don't probably just not gone at all if we're not gonna participate in the Halloween things. But yeah, I got 2 costumes this year, and let's hope I wear them both. Thank you guys so much for being here another week. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant